is asking about the people they know. When they do not pray and they get married, what is the appropriate way to give them da'wah? First of all, my friend, you have to be careful by not labeling others to be disbelievers just simply because you have not seen them pray. And this is an issue that a lot of the Muslims fall in the traps of shaitan because of it. He doesn't pray. And the Prophet said, alayhi wasallam, who does not pray is a kafir. The limit between us and them is, or the difference between us and them is prayer. Who does not pray is a kafir. So they said, okay, 1 + 1 = 2. So this person is a kafir. Wrong. There is a theoretical way of dealing with with people who do not pray, and there's a practical way of dealing with them. Meaning, in theory, yes, anyone who does not pray is a kafir. Full stop. You don't have to elaborate a lot, because this is mentioned in the Quran in clear ayahs, and it's mentioned in the Sunnah in clear hadiths. So definitely a person who does not pray is a kafir. However, on the practical end, you cannot simply fit this label to anyone unless the conditions are fulfilled and there are no obstacles. And this goes with everything that we need to give takfir accordingly. We have to ensure that the conditions are fulfilled. So the practical part of it is difficult to implement. And this is why we don't see people saying, hey, don't pray upon my deceased father funeral prayer because he did not pray. No one says this. And even if one says this, we say, how do you know that he did not pray? You were not with him 24/7. Maybe he prayed when you were not aware. And there are so many consequences that follow, because if you don't pray, then you do not inherit him, and you have no share in his wealth, because he's a kafir and you're Muslim, and he's not to be buried in a Muslim cemetery, etc. So this is very tricky, akhi. Now, how to give da'wah? Begin by the basics. Assume that they're Muslims and approach them by encouraging them, focusing on the priorities. So if I go to my relative's house to call him to Islam, or rather to ask him to come and pray with me in the masjid, but I see a small statue of Buddha or Krishna or Ram or whatever they call it, I would not ask him to come and pray, because his tawheed is not valid anymore. I have to call him to Islam and show him that this is shirk and that there's no God worthy of being worshipped but Allah. Although he's putting it as a decoration, this decoration means he's acknowledging that this is a false God. And he's praising that God by putting it in the living room or in the guest room. Then I move on. See, I have to set my priorities. I do not go to someone who does not pray a single prayer and I tell him, akhi, you must clip your nails because this is against the fitrah, against the sunnah. I don't go to someone who is drinking and the bottle of scotch is in front of him and his eyes are red and he's totally wasted and playing with his shooter, with his revolver, and he's wasted. And I come to him and I say, you have to pray and fear Allah Azza wa Jal. He will shoot me. So you have to prioritize your da'wah. You have to use wisdom, diplomacy, and always think of the consequences. If I say this, would it work? Would it have a good impact or a negative impact? And you have to act accordingly. Of course, you are the doctor and they are the patient. So you always have to tolerate their ignorance. Do not be provoked if they reject what you say to them, or if they make fun of you or ridicule it. Be patient, be tolerant, hope for the best, look for the consequences as usual. If you're the kind of person who's impulsive and goes into rage the minute someone answers him back, then akhi, you're in the wrong business. Stay away from people and let them stay away from your harm.